We're all familiar, or some of us are familiar with the phrase that thoughts shape our reality. As Toastmasters, our thoughts we put into words, and our words create images in our own mind and in the mind of our audience. And that's what I'd like to talk to you about today, is how we can use imagery to improve our performance as public speakers. If the slides work from way over here, I'll just back up and we'll start with this slide. Okay, so this is a picture of the human brain. It's an MRI scan. Okay? This picture is an adaptation. It's an IT, very unique. And this is a picture, this is clearly not the brain. But, in this part of the world, if you see a light bulb on somebody's head, that signifies a bright idea. So they're using their mind, but it's not the brain. So I wanted to make a clear distinction between the mind and the brain, and that's important, and we're going to see why in just a few moments. So this lady is using her mind, yes? She's thinking, she's imagining, at least for the purposes of this presentation, what her fiance is going to talk to her about tonight at dinner. Is he going to propose to her in the way that she has clearly laid out for him that she would like to be proposed to? Her fiance, he's been remembering, what should I say? What did she really want to hear? And he's visualizing himself, maybe bending down on one knee, saying all the right words, because he wants to be successful. He wants a yes. And so, the physical machinery, I've always imagined the brain that when we do an activity, when we give a public speak, our brain lights up, and it looks a little bit like a lightning bolt. If I swing a golf club, a different part of the brain will light up. And if I am thinking of a mathematical equation and the answer to that, yet a different part of the brain will light up. If a medical researcher was to look at this slide, okay, it's labeled as an Alzheimer's disease neurosignature, but if the researcher was to look just at the slide alone, she might say that when this person was alive, they suffered from Alzheimer's disease. And I can tell that because of this yellow spot that's lit up on the slide. That's a bundle of neurons that when we spoke to this person, lit up. They became active. And we know through research that that's now a disease. Part of my message to you today is that we don't have to use this information about neural signatures just to diagnose illness. We can use it for our own benefit to improve ourselves as speakers, as Toastmasters. So here is a couple of MRI brain scans. Let's say that these are of me. The first one on your right is when I was 6 years old, and I picked up a golf club for the very first time, and I was going to try and hit a ball, and the executive part of my brain, who's always awake and watching what's going on, yells out to the rest of the brain, everybody wake up, okay? Everybody man your posts. This little kid is trying to do something. I don't think he's ever done this before, right? I think he wants to try and hit this little ball over here with a stick. We want him to be successful. So everybody get involved. Many years later, after tens of thousands of actual swings of the club, with many winters spent on the television watching professional golfers hit the ball perfectly, a new scan of my brain indicates my brain is far more efficient now than it has ever been. And if we had somebody, a world famous golfer like a Tiger Woods or somebody, and we scanned his brain, maybe only these red parts would light up, right? His brain would be even more efficient at hitting a golf ball than most anybody's brain. So why is this so important to us as public speakers? Because it's great that we're Toastmasters and we have a meeting to come to once a week, but look around, right? There's 20 other people here that we have to share this 1 hour time with. So our practice is really limited. If we can use our imagination, we can make some changes. Because here's the thing. If I was to ask Ms. Schiff, could you please come up here and speak to us for 2 minutes? I said, well, wait a second. Just stay where you're sitting now and imagine that you're giving a speech for 2 minutes. And then we asked him later. He would not be confused. He knows the difference between closing his eyes and imagining or standing up. We all do. The mind cannot be tricked in that way. But the brain is going to have almost the identical neurosignature. It's going to light up in almost precisely the same way, regardless of whether we close our eyes and imagine or if we stand up here and practice. So, right, there it is. That's what I imagine is our brain is lighting up in some fashion. The point is that we have limited time here, but you have 60 seconds in the morning, even before you get out of bed. You don't have to pretend you're the best speaker in the world. Imagine you being a really good speaker. Before you go back to your office this afternoon, or once you sit in your chair, with your eyes open or with your eyes closed, imagine, remember all the feedback that you've gotten over the years or over the months on these little feedback forms. Imagine that you are now utilizing the whole room, that you have great body language, that there's inflection in your voice, that there's energy in behind what you're saying, and that you're making eye contact with everybody and have a really good speech. Because over the next few months, we're going to see the people who use imagery on a regular basis are going to stand out as really good speakers. Mr. Toastmaster.